Welcome back to another episode of The Money Honey with me, your host, Rosalia Lazara-Tilly. And I started this podcast because I wanted to highlight the talented women within the property, finance, and construction industries. And so what I do to do that, right, how I bring you guests, is I literally go hours on end on Instagram looking for talented women who are doing amazing things within these industries, or on LinkedIn. And then sometimes I meet these fabulous ladies, perhaps, I don't know, through dancing on the dance floor or enjoying some fabulous food. And so my particular guest today is off the back of a networking event that we were both at. We were dancing, we were vibing, and then we added each other on social media. And then I really got to see behind the scenes like what they were actually doing as a partnership. I'll let her explain. But what I loved in particular, the reason I invited her today to come onto the show is because she's very recently, not only is she running a phenomenal property business, and she'll explain in what areas and categories in just a moment, but she's also recently started her first ever family. So I love to learn from women who are building the life of their dreams around their work and pleasure, and also family and lifestyle, because I struggle to keep up with myself, let alone having a family. So I would love to deep dive into that and how she's doing it. But in particular, the theme of today, what I'd like to explore is, we always talk about money and property from like an investment and growing your wealth and growing your lifestyle and creating your life of dreams. But I really want to look at the perspective of where it starts and how you get there. And in particular today, the message is very much around growing up in a council estate, or growing up in temporary accommodation. Because often those stories, you see that there are two ways that you can go, right? You can, make that story hold you back and say, well, what do you expect me to do? I'm from a council estate. And then you have others who are like, I'm from a council estate. Watch what I'm going to do. And this is what really excites me. It's how we turn our situations into opportunities. So without further ado, I really want to hand over to my gorgeous, lovely friend, Dani Smithson.
Hello, hi Rosalia. Thanks for having me on.
Oh,
Really excited about this.
my pleasure. Thank you, Dani. I cannot wait to learn from you and your journey, because honestly, it's very different to mine. And yeah, I just admire what you guys are doing. So please give us a quick intro of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so me and my partner Curtis, we started our property business in February 2022, and it was kind of off the back of a long journey really for me. So you've mentioned growing up on a council estate. So I actually still live in the house on the council estate that that I grew up on. So I bought this house in 2016 because I knew that I would get the money from the right to buy, and then I'd be able to remortgage it in a few years and use that money to start my property development journey. So I've actually lived here for 29 years. And now I'm raising my own family here as well. So yeah, it's a bit crazy, but
Oh my God, this
that's
is
how
my favorite part of the podcast already. Like, I did not know this. So you
yeah,
still live
yeah,
in your childhood home,
yeah,
and you've
yeah. So
now bought it,
yeah,
and you're
yeah.
raising your newborn child here.
Yeah, so I bought this in 2016, but I've lived here since 1994, on and off. I went to university and I actually did a brief stint staying in Dubai, and I've moved into other places, but I've always ended up back here. But my parents signed over their right to buy to me in 2016, and they moved out. And now me and Curtis own the house together, and we've got our little daughter Prue, who's 16 days old now, and we're raising her here. So, but yeah, it's allowed us to start our property journey because we remortgaged it and pulled out all of the money to start developing.
Oh my goodness, I love this story. Okay, so tell me then, why property? How did you find your way into this industry?
Yeah, so I think it probably goes back to when I was young, because growing up in the street that we live in, it used to be quite rough. Um, and just looking at other houses on Rightmove, looking how other people lived, I was constantly on Rightmove, seeing all of the potential properties that I could do up, and my dream home and where I'd want to live. And growing up here, it was a bit like those things were really far from being achievable. So when I went onto Rightmove and I could see a really rundown house and the potential of what it could look like, it kind of got my imagination going. So ever since I was a teenager, I've wanted to get into property. And because we didn't have much money and I didn't really have many people that were in business around me, I didn't really have any great role models. I always thought, oh yeah, one day it's going to happen, but I didn't really know how I was going to get there. And I would say, although from 2016 when I bought the house and I had that long term goal, I still really didn't know how I was ever going to achieve it. And then when Curtis and I got together, it kind of just, we worked and everything just kind of spiraled from there. And we both had the same aspirations and the same dreams. So it's kind of, it's been a long time coming. So I'm 35 this year, and I started looking at property when I was probably 15, 16. So yeah, it's been a long term aspiration to do this.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. I know exactly what you mean. I've grown up in a family of property, as in, you know, we haven't got the biggest portfolio at all, but our family did invest here and there to be able to provide for their children. So like my granddad bought a couple, like one property, one for himself, one for his daughter, and one for his other daughter, and that was his like
Nice.
investment strategy. You see what I mean? So like property for us has always
Yeah.
been like a way to provide for your family, and it, you know, it's got so
Yeah.
much emotion around having a home. That's what it means to me, which is why I love the fact that you're raising your child in a home that
Yeah.
you grew up in, and also in a home that is actually in alignment with the property strategy that you and Curtis are in. So talk to me a little bit about social housing, right? Because that's your chosen strategy, and then you've got some property development as well, right? So let's talk about
Yeah.
one first.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the social housing part first, because that's the bit that's kind of dear to both of our hearts. So Curtis grew up in social housing too. Um, at one time or another, we've both faced homelessness as well. So we've had those things to overcome. And we learned about the different strategies in property a couple of years ago, and we didn't really know much about social housing or how to get into it until we met people through networking. So when we found out about temporary accommodation, about supported accommodation, and all of those sorts of things, we were like, wow, like we've grown up in this kind of area. Wouldn't it be great now that we're in a position to build our business off the back of that, but also help the people that are in the position that we were in? So we've now got, I think it's 12 or 13 properties that we're managing with different councils across the home counties and North London. And all we do is we essentially communicate with the councils. There's a need for people that are on a temporary accommodation waiting list, waiting for permanent council homes, and we're the interim. So we manage that transition for them, where they're coming from hotels or B&Bs. We put them into a property, we manage that, and then when they're ready to move into something more long term, then we help move them onto that. So that's the first part of it. And then the second part is the, you mentioned the development side of things. So we started developing back end of last year. So we actually are just selling our first project, and it's just a normal standard flip project, a residential. It's nothing fancy. And I think a lot of people think we've been doing it a lot longer than we have, but that's actually our first project, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll be sold soon. And we're looking for a HMO conversion as our next project. So yeah, it's all going really well.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting, Danny, because yeah, my partner and I, well, my husband and I are thinking of doing stuff together in property now. Yeah, we've come from a different background, you know, we've got different financial statuses, like, you know, we're doing everything off, like most people are, like we're not inheriting a portfolio and hitting the right ground running, as I imagine you haven't either, right? We want to start
It's
from
hard
scratch.
work.
Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
work. And the hardest thing we had to do first was just get ourselves on the property ladder. And we chose to do that. Like, we were like, we want a house first together for our future. We
Yeah.
want a safe space. I don't want to slum it around like living at my mum's with him and all six of us. Like, I just didn't want to do that. Like, I love those families
Yeah.
that do, because they have that like financial long-term gain of like short-term sacrifice now and then long-term gain. I was like, I'm an adult, I just want to live on my
Yeah.
own, so.
Oh God, I absolutely could not live with my family. I think kind of as soon as I was able to, I was like, I'm out of here. I
Yeah.
need to get out of this place and go and forge my own way. So people that live with their families now, like, credit to them, but
Yeah.
I absolutely could not do that.
Yeah, because that was like one of our thinking. It was like, okay, so if we sold our residential property and moved in with my mum and dad, and then we could use the money to buy like loads of buy-to-lets, and I was like, great, so everyone else is happy in their own little home, but I'm
Yeah.
I'm like, so yeah, we wanted a safe space for us to live in. And now obviously loads of things have happened in our lives. Like, I lost my job, so I didn't have any security, and then I had to start a business.
Right.
And then obviously now we're in a position where we're like, okay, I think we're ready to like use what we've built to be able to start a portfolio. So I love watching you and Curtis doing that, because I just feel like I'm there, like I'm almost there. And yeah, I'm so excited to get going. And also because I've worked so much in mortgages, like giving other people access to the funding and the lending and the structure and the deal structure to get in properties. I'm like, I want to stop doing it and educating. I want to just do it for myself now. So yeah,
100%. Do you know what? I think just touching on that point, you said like you wanted to have a safe space, like you bought your own property and stuff. We're kind of doing the opposite now, actually. So just to elaborate on that, me and Kurt, we obviously own this house and we've got the other property that we're selling, but because of where we live, it's so expensive down here, and we've seen the opportunity to develop HMOs further up north. It's so expensive to get into it down here that it's just not going to be possible for us for a little while. So we're looking to sell this house and free up the equity that we've got in it, and we're going to rent somewhere further up the country. So not quite yet, because obviously our daughter's still really young. But in a year or two's time, we're looking to sell up and actually just rent a property rather than keeping this. I think also because I have lived here so long, we want a fresh start.
Yes.
We want to have a place that we've picked together, that we're raising our family in an area that we've chosen for that family, rather than it just being an investment or a step onto the ladder, which this was. So it served its purpose now.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, let's start afresh and move on. So I'm really excited for that new chapter as well. Just we need to settle a little bit.
No, that sounds really exciting. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, we do not live in our dream home right now. I love our little cottage. I love our house. I love the bits that we've done to it. But the reason we've decided to do that is because we could now, in theory, sell this and upgrade and get a bigger home. But then we're going to be because then we're going to be tied up in that home and we live in it. So what we're doing instead is we're going to stay here for longer, and then just use the equity to pull it out and buy something to invest. So we're postponing buying our dream home and something that we want to live in for the future, for the short-term investment. But we just wanted to get a roof over our head to start with. Then we got married and things like that. So, we just wanted to, property journeys are different for everybody, right? Some people want the cash flow from a property and not own anything about it. Like, they don't actually want to own property. They just want the monthly income from it. So they might go into rent to rent. Others actually want to hold and keep and maybe pass it down as a legacy for their family. So
no, I think with the rent to rent side of things, that's what we do for the social housing stuff. So obviously we don't own 12,
that's what I mean.
But I think it's delayed gratification, isn't it? You've kind of got to put off those things where you think, oh, okay, right, well, we're in a position to get those things now, to have that really nice house, but in order for us to really kind of gain momentum, we need to just pause that for a second and get the momentum. And then later on down the line, you can then get those things when it's a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. So property dreams, you're crushing them. You're you've got a plan, you're doing what you can now in building that. So you've got a rent-to-rent social housing side of the business. You've done your first property development, which is going on sale. So good luck with that. Congratulations. Well, by the time this comes out, you know, it would have been done and dusted. But
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah. I'm sure it will. I've got every confidence. So property dreams and property journeys aside, tell me a little bit about your personal setup and your personal lifestyle. You've just recently become a mother.
Yes, I have. Yeah, so our daughter's 16 days old now. She's actually down the park with her dad, so he's taken her out just so I've got some peace and quiet to focus on this. So they're probably feeding the ducks right now down at the park.
Oh, she's mature for 16 days.
Do you know what?
Advanced girl.
Do you know what? I'm really trying to. So I've tried to stay in my baby bubble, but I find it really difficult. I'm really ambitious and I'm really motivated, and having our daughter has kind of really catapulted that for me massively. So before she was born, I had a bit of a lull where I was like, I just want to be in this baby bubble. I don't really want to focus on work. And I was a bit worried about whether I would kind of get my mojo back once she was born. And immediately, as soon as I saw her, after like a couple of days, I was like, we need to work harder. Like, we just need to go full steam ahead because I want her to have the best life, and everything that we're building is now for her. So, I don't know if you've seen the video of us getting engaged in Marbella last year.
I know. I remember. I was kind of met you around your engagement time, I think.
Yeah.
Or did he? No, I think Curtis was telling me about your engagement. No, you had the engagement. He told me how he was going to plan the wedding and things like that. So yeah, what's happened since then?
Yeah, so we had booked a wedding in Italy for next year. Yeah, so that kind of went all out the window as soon as we found out that we were having her. So we are still getting married. All of that's still happening. However, because the wedding was costing so much money, we're like, why are we spending this amount of money on a huge wedding for everyone else when we've got a brand new daughter on the way, and we want to grow our business and we want to set her up for her future? So we've actually cancelled that wedding. We lost our deposit, but we were like, do you know what? We didn't see it as losing the money that we'd spent. We saw it as saving the money that we hadn't already. So we're just going to elope now. We've decided that we're going to go, because Kurt's from the Caribbean, so we're just going to go back to his home island, just the three of us next year, and we're going to get married there and just do it on the beach, really casual, nothing kind of spectacular. But we've got some really lovely plans for our family, and everything that we've kind of set up is really snowballing now, and we just want her to have a really nice future. So that's what we're building for now.
That is insane, and you should be so proud of that, for making those decisions that actually you do have to make sacrifices and you do have to prioritize. You know, we don't have a family yet, right? So the way we choose to spend our money is very different to how I see parents spending their money. But I already have a direct debit savings pot, and have done for over a year, into my maternity pot. We're not even trying for a baby. Like, no, we're not even trying. Like, that's like, hello. That. He's like over here, like, hello. We're gonna.
He's like, what's going on?
We have to do some activities in order for this baby to come along. But I'm saving already for a time that I don't even know. Like, I'm just putting it out there. I'm like, this is a thing. Like, our wedding was spectacular, was phenomenal, was exactly what we wanted, but it was because it happened when it could have happened. Like, things just, but then that meant we put like some of our home development dreams on the back burner. And then when we finished getting married and we came back to our little cottage, we were like, we don't want to spend that money anymore. We don't want to do an extension and a third bedroom and things like that. I was like, I just want to now go on a couple of holidays and build my business, and I really want to dive into my business properly. But goals change, guys. Like, that's it. And you've decided, you know, you've got a whole new found like reality, and a whole new like little ray of sunshine, right, that you're looking at, and you're like, this is it, this is what's important.
Just seeing her little face as well, like, she's so tiny. She was £6.6, so she's really dinky. We bought loads and loads of clothes, and then when it came to put them on her, we're like, they dwarf her. Like, it's just, she's tiny, so we had to get all newborn, like, tiny baby stuff. But yeah, you just see her face, and even like when she's screaming her head off, you just look at everything that you've created, and you're like, I just want to do everything I can for you. So it's been amazing so far, regardless of the sleepless nights.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's I love my sleep, but do you know what? It makes it really like,
make the most of
yeah, but I
it.
can't catch up on sleep now. It's like even if I slept for 15 hours now, I can't use it for my
Yeah,
tiredness later. And
yeah.
once you've
Oh, well,
slept,
you're
you've
thinking.
slept.
Do you know what? Have you ever gone out for a meal and you've left a bit of your meal, and then later on when you're hungry, you think, I wish I'd eaten that bit?
Yeah,
That's literally how I am with sleep now. I'm like, I really didn't milk that enough
yeah.
when I had the time to do it.
But I
So,
don't think it
yeah.
doesn't matter if you sleep all you can now, you're still going to be tired later.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, you're still
100%.
going to do that. But no, it gives me hope to know that, or I hope that those listening, I hope it just gives you hope in knowing that property can be so flexible, and so you can work it around your family, and you can, you do not park, because a lot of people say, is having a baby career suicide, and I think
No.
that's still a fear. It still exists, Danny. Still, people do still.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across that fear at all when you found out you were pregnant?
Do you know what? I mean, we hadn't planned to have a baby when we did, but it's kind of the best thing that everyone always says to you, don't they? Oh, you can't ever plan for it. No one's ever ready, and all of that stuff. But literally, it's the best thing that could have happened to us, because it's given us the drive even more than we had before to make it a success. And we want her to be able to do things and have access to things that we didn't when we were young. So we've got a very short window of time in like the next 5 years to kind of make that happen before she starts school. Um, so I think it's not career suicide for me. I really was very focused on business, and now I'm just like, I've been having business calls. I mean, I'm on this call now, and she's still very young, so it doesn't stop you. You just have to be a bit more flexible and get the dad to take them out for a walk while you're on a call. So
Yeah, you got to have
yeah,
that support. Yeah, you got to have, like, yeah,
100%. I really admire women that and men that are doing it on their own, because without him, and he's been an absolute godsend, he's really, really good, that we've got each other, because it's really tough. And because we're both working on the business, there's two people to look after our baby and to look after our business. So for those doing it on their own, like, yeah, hats off to them,
yeah.
because it really is tough.
It really, yeah, it looks tough. I'm not gonna lie. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anyone there that's like, yeah, I'll make it look easy, and it is easy. It's not. It's worth it. I think when you've
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
definitely worth it from what I can see. So what's next on the horizon then when it comes to your property journeys? You said about potentially selling up, moving up north, and renting and investing in. What next? What's that kind of strategy look like?
Yeah, so we want to do HMO conversions. We're doing this for the cash flow, essentially, so that we can build our money pot each month. We want more flexibility, and to be able to spend more time with our daughter. So that's the focus for, I would say, the next couple of years. And by moving up to the Midlands, where the purchase price is a lot lower, the cost of labour is a lot lower, we can use our capital much more effectively up there and manage it ourselves. So that's the whole idea behind the move. But we do want to look at housing people that are fleeing domestic violence. I mean, I've experienced domestic violence growing up. I've experienced domestic violence in adulthood as well. So I really want to kind of branch out into that category. So that's kind of a long term goal. We don't really know how we're going to get there yet. We've been speaking to councils all over the country about how we get into supporting those women and those families and those men as well. So I think time being, it's going to be the HMO conversions. We're still going to do the rent to rent social housing stuff and build that on the side. And then hopefully get into a bit more of the supported side of things for people that are really struggling.
Amazing. Oh, I really can't wait to see that plan, roll out. Yeah, I'll be cheering you on and if there's anything I can do to support, then let me know, because I really do love that vision. I love that. What about
Yeah.
anyone else who is on the outside looking in, and wants to kind of dive deeper into the property world and understand it better? What avenues are there? Supportive groups, podcasts, books, like anything. How can people just like absorb what is happening in this industry and learn as fast as possible?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, we've been to a couple of education days with different people. We've been around a lot of different gurus. I know a lot of people kind of in the property industry, they talk about these educators all the time, and a lot of people get a bad rep. I would say go to these things, just be very careful with who you're kind of giving your money to, but it's not necessarily about the person that's educating you at these things, it's about who you're going to meet in the room. So obviously we met you through going to these events. We've met pretty much all of our new closest friends through going to these events, and although the reason why we're originally there isn't what we've ended up coming out of it with. We've come out of it with some great friends and connections. I'd say get yourself in those rooms, YouTube the hell out of everything, Google, read as many books as you possibly can. The majority of what we're doing now is self-taught. And a lot of people will say, oh, we'll do these earn and learns, and there's people offering investment opportunities where you can tag along to the site. And they're great, but there's no better way of learning than actually just getting stuck in on your own. And that's what we've done. So we've gone and done our first development, and we've had some hiccups along the way. The finance maybe hasn't gone the best that we would have hoped it to have gone, but we've learnt valuable lessons. So don't be frightened, just get stuck in, get going, get started, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's just part of the journey. And do you know what? I've actually enjoyed making some of those mistakes, although they have been a little bit costly because we've done it off our own back, and there's nobody else to take credit for the things that we've done.
I love that, Danny. Yeah, we have to grow through what we go through, right?
Yeah,
There's no point in studying and learning and sitting up through all these courses and then taking no action whatsoever.
yeah,
And equally, there's no point taking all the action and trying to get everything right day one because you're not going to learn anything at all. So, yeah,
yeah. Oh, you're never going to get it all right either. Like I sometimes I am a bit of a perfectionist, and I'm like, I want to get everything spot on. A lot of the time things are out of your hands and you can't control everything, and that's one thing that my daughter has taught me already, is that I don't get to do everything that I want to do when I want to do it anymore, and it may not go according to plan. And I think that's going to help me in my journey as well, because you can't control everything, you can't control everyone, so you just kind of got to go with the flow and do the best that you can.
100%. You've got to control the controllables.
Yeah,
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 100%.
definitely.
So, Danny, if people wanted to follow your journey or learn more about, your social housing journey, development, even going from homeowner to renting and reinvesting your money, how can people stay in tune with your story and your journey?
Yeah, so I think the best way at the moment, we are looking to grow our social media. Obviously, we've got our hands full at the moment, so that's not really been a huge focus. But they can follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We post quite regularly on there. So office at fortepropertygroup.co.uk is our email address if people want to reach out to discuss doing projects with us or getting involved in any way. But on our Instagram, which is Forte Property Group, if they follow us on there.
Yeah, well, I'll put all that in the show notes so that people have got easy links. Just out of curiosity, where did the name Forte Group come from?
Do you know what? It was actually something that Curtis wanted for years and years. He had a dream of naming a business Forte something, and he didn't know what it was going to be. And when he mentioned it, I thought, well, Forte means your strong suit. It's something that you're good at. So it kind of fit really nicely. And then one day I've just put together a quick logo, and it took me about 5 minutes, and I loved the way it looked, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's just go with that name. And people say it wrong. People say Fort Property Group, and you're like, it's got an E on the end. But yeah, I think it's just it's your strong suit. So hopefully, as we develop, it'll actually become that for us.
Yeah, and and also it just it's not just your strong suit, but like that word in Italian means strong.
Yeah,
So you two have been a strong partnership, strong
yeah,
parents. You're being strong now, and you've got a strong, solid strategy with your property. So that hence I asked. It was kind of like, I thought I knew what it meant, but I just thought I'd double check
yeah,
because I was reading it in
yeah,
the Italian way, but I thought
yeah,
I would check in with you first.
Well, it's music, isn't it? That's what
Yeah.
the term. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
again,
that's
yes,
where the term
music too,
comes from.
like yeah, the much bigger tones. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, a lot. I think that word definitely suits you guys. It's definitely
Oh,
something that
thank
I've,
you.
yeah, no, it's from what I've got to know you guys. And like I said earlier, obviously we've been meeting at networking events, and so we've either had very little chance to talk, or we've been dancing, or we've been eating. And I'm really, really delighted to have finally spent even half an hour of quality time with you. And I'm
Yeah,
just so honored I get to share that with other people who are listening. And I really do hope, and if you're listening, money honeys out there, if this episode really did help you, give Dani a really big thumbs up, share it, like it, maybe comment your highlights, comment your favorite points or your questions. I'm sure Dani or myself, if Dani's not around, I can try and facilitate an answer for you. But the point is, we want to show our appreciation because Dani, again, newborn mother, busy running a family and a team and a business, and she's taken up her precious time. She's given us her precious time to share some wisdom and inspiration for you listening here today. And we hope that through this episode, you have been able to see how actually you can be in any circumstance, right? Whether you're coming from debt or you're in a non, whether you're not in your like ideal living circumstances, or your goals completely change and things happen that you never expected, you can work things out, right? And that's, I think, the main message that you wanted to share, Dani, was that. How would
yeah,
you wrap that up? What do you hope people take away from today?
yeah. So I think I'd mentioned it to you before that I just think that, yeah, it doesn't matter where you come from. You said it at the beginning. Some people, they go down a really negative path when they come from a negative place, and other people turn it into a positive and go on to do really good things and turn their life around. And I think one of the most important things to take away is it doesn't matter where you've come from, it just matters where you're going.
Yes.
So just focus. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. I know a lot of people look at themselves negatively sometimes and they can kind of get themselves down, but I've been in some really dark places and managed to pull myself out, and I'm still here, still achieving the dreams that I have. So yeah, just don't give up on your goals.
I love that. I really love that, Dana. You have been a true ultimate money honey for me. Like the definition of a
Oh,
money honey, a powerful, talented, and ambitious female in the property, finance, and construction industry who is literally breaking down every barrier. So thank you so much for being that voice, for being that representation for us all, because we need to see that's the whole mission with the podcast, and also the mission with my own business, the Manuka Media, is to make property and money more accessible to everyday society. Like property and
yeah,
money should not just be for the elite or for the top 1%. It's for everybody, and anybody can get started from nothing to
yeah.
achieving everything. So thank you for being that representation for us.
Thank you. No, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks very much.
Thank you for being on the show, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, this is the Money Honey. Please do remember to subscribe and like the channel, like the post. And if you do want to reach out to Dani and you want to learn more about her journey and keep up to date with her journey, all the links are in the show notes. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next show.